Note to self, dear God. What? I'm setting up for recording and all I have is it says note to self. Dear God, I don't understand. What's up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals? Welcome back to Art by Flan. Today we have a little something different. We have a Q&A video. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this video in the corner. I'm moving, but you shouldn't be able to see that. But this video in the corner and have some like B-roll footage I wasn't going to use for a piece going. So if you don't want to look at my face this entire time, you do have some art to look at. So let's not waste any more time and jump right into these questions. If you're wondering why I keep looking down, it's because my questions are on my phone, which is down there. So the first few questions are from Sana the Great. She comments on a lot of my videos. She's super duper sweet. You guys should definitely check out her channel. And her first question is, how old are you? Standard question. I am 26 years old. I am a millennial. I am a 90s kid. I was born in 1990. So I got all that going for me, which is absolutely meaningless. But yeah, 26. My favorite type of music is her next question. What's your favorite type of music? That is a broad spectrum. Like, my knee-jerk reaction is, well, all kinds. I like a little bit of everything, but I have a particular fondness for pop music. And I really don't subscribe to that theory of, oh, mainstream music, that's so gaudy and tacky. No, mainstream music is fun to listen to, and it's cool, and I really enjoy it. But I do have two particular favorite artists. The first one being The Killers. I absolutely adore The Killers. I have been in love with The Killers since middle school. Since about 7th grade when I first heard Somebody Told Me, and I've just loved them ever since. Going to their show was like a religious experience for me. The embodiment of this band saved my life. But no, I really love The Killers. And second only to The Killers is Lady Gaga. I adore Lady Gaga. She is my queen. I love her. I just cannot envision my life without her, which is really funny because when she first started coming around back in like 2009 or whatever, I didn't really have an opinion. Like, she was just one of those pop singers that, yeah, I'll listen to on the radio. She's got an okay song. But then when I actually sat down, took the time to listen to her and research about her, I fell in love. Again, going to her show was another religious experience for me. So yeah, those two are my absolute favorite artists, but I do have a fondness for like pop music and alt rock music. So hope that answers the question. Her next question is, what did you want to be when you grew up when you were a kid? I wanted to be a lot of things before I decided I wanted to be mangaka. I wanted to do anime and manga. I remember wanting to be a singer, which you've ever heard me sing, there was no way in hell that was happening. I wanted to be a singer or maybe a vet or all sorts of different things, you know, because I was a kid. I could be anything. I wanted to be everything. But then when I seriously started drawing, I seriously looked into becoming like an artist, and by middle school I decided that I wanted to be a freelance artist. So I sort of pursued that dream, but not exactly. I didn't go to art school or anything to get a degree, to work anywhere. So I just sort of became one. I didn't intend, so I technically consider what I do freelance. Because, you know, I can get hired or commissioned or whatever at any time, and I do YouTube, obviously, so yeah, I wanted to be an artist when I was a kid. There's your roundabout answer, artist. Her last question is, what's your favorite animal? I have a few favorite animals. I love dogs, and I love cows, and I love narwhals. Those are probably my top 3, followed by cats and horses. Listen, if you give me an animal that isn't a freaking spider, I'm probably gonna like it. You know what? My rule of thumb is, if it has more than 4 legs, I don't want any part of it. That's my rule of thumb. It can be bent and broken for a few things, but if it has more than 4 legs, it's not for me. It's not. Also, if you hear weird clicking, it's my fidget cube. The next question is from Fandom Fan here on YouTube, and their question is, who inspired you to do art, and when did you start doing art? So, I think every kid has that thing where they draw all the time. Of course, I was one of those kids, but mine continued for a long time. And I remember vividly my biggest experience of saying, yes, I want to draw forever is when I started watching Sailor Moon. I remember the exact episode I saw too. It was the episode where she transforms into Princess Serenity for the first time. So it's her and Mamoru in the elevator, and she transforms and reveals she's Sailor Moon, and he transforms, reveals his tuxedo mask, and then all the fighting goes down, and then she transforms into Princess Serenity. And it's like, yes, that scene has been so etched into my mind that you would not believe that I worked for so long to be good enough to replicate that, and now I'm sort of growing out of my anime style. But yes, when I was in my, I won't say preteens, I was probably 6 or 7, is when I started seriously drawing, and it was garbage. It was all Sailor Moon fan art, but you know what I mean. So 6 or 7, and Sailor Moon. That's not the only thing that kept me going, but that's the biggest influence I can remember. The next question is from Lil Army here on YouTube, and their question is, do you listen to K-pop? Not regularly. I'm sure there are some K-pop songs I like, but as a whole genre, I wouldn't say I listen to it all the time. I'm not against it, it's just not something I listen to. The next one is from Echo Fade here on YouTube, and they ask, can you do a tutorial on clothes and hair? I would really like that. So, yes and no. I can definitely give tips, but I'm not a really great teacher. Mine is sort of just, my learning is that, I sort of just ripped it off from Sailor Moon. But no, my best advice is to reference. For fabric and clothes specifically, definitely reference everything and anything. And 9 times out of 10, when you ask an artist, hey, can you teach me how to draw a blank, their response is going to be reference it. So if you want to learn how to draw dresses, look at a bunch of dresses. If you want to learn how to draw like jeans, look at a bunch of jeans. And I'm sorry if you hear licking, I have dogs. So that would be my advice for clothes. For hair, a few quick tips would be, don't think of hair as individual strands, think of hair as individual shapes. I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but definitely there are some really good artists out there, better than me, who've done tutorials. I recommend searching YouTube and DeviantArt, which is where I learned a lot of what I know. The next question is from Art by Andrea, and they ask, do you prefer traditional or digital? Digital. I am a digital artist at heart. I do traditional art, and you can see not all of it, but most of it on my Instagram. I do traditional art as sort of a release. I don't take it as seriously as I do my digital art. I much prefer, because when I first, for a long time, I had like this anxiety over using traditional art supplies. I didn't want to waste the supplies. I didn't want to make a bad piece. If I did, I'd wasted papers and pencils and all that jazz, and I felt like I had made a mistake. So that's when I picked up digital art. 1, because I preferred the look of digital art. 2, because I was free to make those mistakes and I could just delete the file and I wasn't wasting anything. Now that I'm older, I'm okay with making mistakes. I'm okay with wasting materials because I can purchase them again and what have you. So I do prefer digital art because I feel like I have a better knowledge of it. It's easier for me to grasp, and I don't feel limited by the space of my paper, which I sort of do in traditional art. But yeah, I definitely prefer digital art over traditional. Like I said, most of my speed paints are digital, and I'm a digital artist at heart. Next question is from Lubia here on YouTube. What do you think about people who delete all their old artwork or throw away their old sketchbooks? So I don't think less of you, if that's what you're asking, but I do recommend not doing that. Because you can definitely, it's nice to look back on. If you ever need like a confidence boost for your art, it's nice to look back at your old art. So having those sketchbooks or having those old files and seeing how much you've grown between then and now is a really great way to kind of boost your own confidence without needing people to comment or whatever. So I definitely recommend keeping them, but if you don't or can't for some reason, that's totally okay. Like I don't have half of the sketchbooks I had growing up. The rest are, because when I moved across the country, I had to leave a lot of stuff behind in my sketchbooks from like my younger drawing days were some of those things, and I had to make the choice, I could take the things I needed or I could take a bunch of old sketchbooks that maybe I'd use in the future. So I definitely recommend keeping them if you can, but if you can't, I understand. So you're not like less of an artist or something if you don't have them laying around, but again, I'd recommend keeping them. Next question is from the Exiles here on YouTube, and they ask, do you plan on doing more sexual pieces of art on your channel? On my channel, no, because YouTube has a very strict content policy, especially been keeping up with the YouTube news lately. I don't want to put something I put so much time and effort into, like my YouTube channel, at risk for those kinds of pieces. That's not saying I don't do them or I won't do them, I just won't post them on my YouTube channel, no. Keep an eye out on Instagram though if you're into that kind of not safe for work art from me, because I do enjoy doing it in my off time. It's very freeing, it's very loose, it's just something that I can do to relax, which is really kind of weird. We're moving on to questions from Instagram now. This is from Nick the Octo Hot Dog, and she's also a very sweet person. You should definitely check out their Instagram. And their question is, which way do you swing? Neither? None? So I identify as asexual, and that is somebody who doesn't experience or rarely experiences sexual attraction. I talked a little bit about this in my Asexual Awareness Week video, but elaborating a little more, I don't really feel sexual attraction to people. Like, I have no interest in sex. It's not something that's on my mind a lot. It's not a big part of my life. Getting it or having had it, it's not a huge thing for me. And I always thought that was a little weird compared to my cousins, where I was like, oh, that boy's so hot, check out that hot guy. And I never sort of experienced that. And it wasn't until just a couple of years ago that I found the word asexual and what it meant, and it really felt like it really applies to me. So sexually, I'm asexual. Romantically, which is separate, I am biromantic, which means I'm romantically attracted to two or more genders. So men, women, non-binary, intersex, I don't care. If I'm romantically interested in you, I'm romantically interested in you. So that answers that question. This one is from Kim Farley. I think I know Kim. It's Kim. I know this one. Kim on Instagram asked, what program do you use for editing, and what camera do you film with? I film with a Logitech C920, I think. Yeah, a Logitech C920 is the camera. It's a little webcam, little HD webcam that I film with. And for editing, that's what I use to film my like this video and my traditional arts. For my vlogs, I use a little Canon PowerShot. This little Canon PowerShot. I'm sorry, I keep looking over at the screen, but this little Canon PowerShot. That's for my vlogs because it's small, it's compact. I was gonna use my phone, but like I said, like my first vlog, my phone has shit battery life, so I didn't want to use it. And this one starts right up, doesn't take too long, makes a little noise, so I can record on the go. And for my editing program, I use, for audio, I use a Blue Snowball. And for my editing program, I use Adobe Premiere Pro. I used to use Sony Vegas, but I don't know, it's kind of clunky. I don't care for it much. So I really like it, Premiere Pro. I'm also much more familiar with Adobe products than I am with Sony Vegas. Next question is from Lizzie Fandoms on Instagram. And they ask, how long have you been drawing, and have you ever quit drawing for some time? So I've been drawing a lot. Over 15 years, over maybe closer to 20 years. I don't know. I started drawing fairly young, so a long time. I'd say a good portion of my life I've been drawing. And have I ever quit drawing for some time? Yes and no. There was what I call my blue period, or my dry spell, between like 2011, 2012, which is when I first started working like a semi full-time job. I was technically part-time, but you know how companies get around that, part-time hours, part-time pay, full-time hours kind of deal. And so I stopped drawing as much, and when I'll get to this more in a sketchbook tour coming up eventually, but I didn't draw as much, and it wasn't as good quality, and I was more likely to be playing video games or browsing Tumblr than I was to be drawing. So I never quit drawing entirely, but there were certainly times where I drew maybe one doodle a month. And I know a lot of artists do have a period of time where they just stop. They just decide, they just decide that maybe this isn't for them, and they put down the pencil, but they come calling. The calling comes back, and they want to keep drawing, and that's normal, I think. If you stop drawing for a while and just pick it up again, it's never too late to be an artist, and it's certainly never too late to pick the pencil back up and keep going. So, have I personally ever stopped drawing for a long time? No, Not completely, but I did have a really long dry spell. This one is from Amanda Elise. If you're on my channel, you probably know her. She's much bigger than me, but she's really sweet. Do you have any advice for anyone just starting out in digital art? Also, what's your favorite TV show of all time? So for the first question, do I have any advice? So I do have a video for this coming up, but it's not regular tips. It's sort of things I wish I knew when I started digital art. So some tips for you digital artists out there. The first tip is learn the difference. So traditional art and digital art are similar, but they're also different mediums. Like, you wouldn't take all the rules you have for watercolors and apply it to oil paints. So the same thing sort of applies for traditional and digital mediums. You're not going to take all of the traditional stuff and apply it to digital. So definitely get a feel for it. Your first few pieces are not going to be up to par. Just because you can color traditionally and you have a good color and blending and color and all that traditionally doesn't always transfer over digitally. So you're going to have to learn your tools. You're going to have to learn your programs. Second tip, learn your programs. There are a lot of digital programs out there, both free and paid. And my recommendation is pick one or two. Pick one or two programs, get comfortable with them, and then maybe branch out. Don't spread yourself too thin trying to remember what program can do what, and if you like this program better than this program. Try a little of all of them at first, but then pick one or two to really get good at. Tip number 3, this one's for inking. So a lot of people's first issues with inking digitally is that the lines are shaky. So there are 2 ways to combat this. First of all, you could try line stabilizer, which some programs come with them. Sometimes you have to get an external one, like Tool SAI has an internal pen stabilizer and Photoshop doesn't, so you can find an add-on called Lazy Nozumi Pro, which stabilizes your pen for you. But a way to do it, to get better lines without that, is to quick strokes. So instead of, like with traditional art, you kind of go slow so you have control of the line. With digital art, because of the disconnect between your physical hand and the digital tablet, the digital movement, you want to go fast. You want to have quick, fast strokes to get the line you look. And because you also have infinite undos, there's nothing wrong with drawing a line over and over until you get the one you like. Again, I'm going to go more into this when I make that video, but those are some tips. And my last tip is take care of your hands. I know with traditional art you often have a lot of space to work and space to move, but with digital art sometimes you don't have that. So you end up doing a lot more wrist movements than arm movements when drawing. So you want to take care of your wrists, and you want to take care of your hands, and you want to take care of your arms to make sure that all these repetitive movements you're doing don't result in an RSI, which is a repetitive stress injury. I've never suffered from one, but I know people who have, and they are not fun. So take care of your hands. That applies for both digital and traditional, but we're talking digital. And her second question was, what is your favorite TV show of all time? Sailor Moon. Done. That's it. Sailor Moon. That's the reason I started drawing. That's the reason I keep doing art. I have tons of Sailor Moon merchandise. It is my absolute favorite show of all time. If I could only watch one forever, that would be it. It would be the 90s version. It would be the new anime. I would read the manga, watch the movies, watch the live action. I don't care. Watch the stage shows. I adore Sailor Moon. Favorite TV show all the time. And my last question comes from Insane Aberration on Instagram. And their question is, what's your advice for drawing different body types? So this kind of goes back to drawing clothes and hair, and that is reference. Like, just look up people. Definitely learn how, my biggest tips besides referencing is to definitely learn how fat sits on the body. I'm not very good with different body types just yet, or at least I'm not where I want to be. So definitely learn how fat sits on the body and how it can sit differently on the body, because people have the same basic makeup, but how fat sits on their body and how it collects and where it collects is different. There are some general rules of thumb for keeping things proportional, but you can always play with that just a smidgen. Again, I do recommend drawing from life, referencing things, looking at tutorials, so that way you know the rules and then you can break them slightly to make your art. But yeah, definitely look up references, learn how fat and weight is distributed on bodies, and learn that it can be different on everybody. And also, I had another thing. Be respectful. That's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to be respectful. When drawing other people's bodies or drawing different body types that aren't your own, definitely try and be respectful and see see them as bodies, less as trying to fill a quota and more that these are real people and I want to draw people with real bodies sort of thing. So that has been my little Q&A video. Thank you guys so much for all of your questions. If you have any more questions that maybe I didn't answer in the video and you want to know, leave them in the comments below and I'll answer them there. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you like what I do, don't forget to click that like button. You can subscribe to my channel for a new video every single week. You can even hit that little ding-a-ling bell to get a notification when I upload a new video. Don't forget to check out all my social media links. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye-bye.